Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Movie Minutemen podcast. But before we dive into today's movie, I wanted to let you guys know that we're excited to get emails from y'all. So if you want to send us your thoughts or comments, please do so. You can send those to the Movie Minutemen podcast at gmail.com. And if you want to leave us a rating and a review, please do so. It's super helpful for getting our show into the algorithm, and you can probably do that on Apple Podcasts. And now you can leave ratings on Spotify. So if you guys want to do either of those, go ahead and do them. If you want to do both, that's good too. But again, thank you guys so much for listening. And now let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to the Movie Minutemen podcast. My name is Andrew.
And my name's Wesley.
And today we will be talking about 2019's Little Women. And welcome. If you guys haven't been to the podcast before, if you haven't listened to any episodes before, we welcome you to our little room. And we strongly encourage you to go back and listen to the rest of our episodes. If you don't like some of the movies, skip them. If you don't like the MCU, don't listen to the rewatch.
Yeah.
We're not going to make you. But we have various movies over on our podcast. So we've done Elf, if you're in the Christmas spirit. We've done The Incredibles just recently, if you're into Pixar. We haven't done a Disney movie yet, have we?
We have not. That's weird.
We've done
Well,
Incredibles.
yeah. But
and technically the Marvel movies are Disney movies, but we haven't done like a Walt Disney Animation Studios movie before.
Yeah, we haven't.
Well, maybe we should do one of those. I don't know.
Maybe. We've done Indiana Jones. The first Indiana Jones.
What other ones have we done? We've done
Knives Out.
Knives Out. Yes.
So we've done some bangers in here. So
we have. Yeah. We've covered a lot of random movies, but we haven't they're good movies, but I mean we're all over the place. So we have a little something for everyone is what I'm trying to say basically.
Yeah.
And so go listen to some of your favorites over there. But today we are doing Little Women, as you know, because you've clicked on the episode and maybe you're like, I really like this movie, or I've never seen this movie. So, well, let me listen to it and figure out what it's about. But Little Woman was released on Christmas of 2019, which I thought was really odd.
Yes.
And let's jump into our memories. Wesley, go ahead. We were both older in 2019, so
yeah.
Not like Incredibles, but go give us your memories.
So so my family has owned the book adaptation for years on end, of course, and we had a previous movie iteration which is kind of like a Christmas based movie, it was the one before this one.
1994.
1994. Yeah.
Okay, the 1994 one.
So I knew the basic plot, but I was surprised how I came to like this movie, because my first impressions before seeing the film were kind of it's a movie about girls, I don't know. But I have a big family, and I've seen my fair share of old stereotypical older type of shows and movies like this, and Little Women. So yes. I negatively came in thinking much of that kind of before, and my sister, I clearly remember my sister dragging me to watch it, and I watched it with her and my mom for the first time, and I'm pretty sure I saw it Thanksgiving Day the year after, in 2020.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was the time I saw it. Thanksgiving night, day,
I was gonna say it wasn't out on Thanksgiving of 2019.
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, it was 2020 or 2021. I'm pretty sure. I'm 95% sure it was 2020. So that was the first time I watched it. And as I watched it, I just fell in love with the storytelling and the way that Greta Gerwig directed it, and I found it more enjoyable in the in the first 5 minutes. I was attached to each character, each sister in some relatable way. I was really moved and surprised how much I really liked it. I recently watched it for a second time in February for an assignment in my film class, And now this was my third time watching Little Women. So yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Little Woman is a story that's always been around. Like you said, have the book. It's one of the very few books I've actually read. So it was like more of a condensed version, not like the actual book. It was like for kids. But I read it, and I remember my grandparents. So like when we were kids, we used to go over to my grandparents a lot. My mom's parents lived very close to us, and we'd like go over for dinner sometimes, and then we'd hang out after dinner. And me and my two sisters who are older would sometimes like go down to their basement and watch movies. And like they had like VHS tapes of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and 1949 Little Women. So like I think it's probably the first one, the first film of Little Woman, but that one's got Elizabeth Taylor in it as Amy and Peter Lawford as Laurie and a bunch of other older actors who I don't know. But that's the Little Woman I grew up on. And we also had a audio drama of Little Woman by Focus on the Family Radio Theater. And so Little Woman is a story that I know very well, which is really funny, but it's actually a story that I hold really near and dear to my heart, which is, again, as a 22-year-old man, is weird to say, but you know, whatever. I love this movie, the story. And so going into it, my fiance, who was just a friend or a girlfriend, I can't remember if we were dating or not, but she let me borrow her copy of this movie, and we watched it, and I was like, I don't like it. I don't like how it cuts back and forth between present and past and yada yada yada. And it was like really confusing when you first watch it to be like, wait a minute, this is all out of order. Now, if you know the story, it's like this is out of order and I don't like it. But then coming back to it again, this is only the second time I watched it. I was like, wow, it's like really good. It's really good.
All of the analogies and all of like just like the little things that are like, oh, this is from earlier in the movie. This was in the past or something. Now it's the present and like see this, you know. So
yeah, and I'm hooked on it. Funny story, real quick. When I was going to try and find how to watch it, because didn't own a copy. Excuse me. I went to see if it was on Amazon Prime. It's not, but the DVD, Blu-ray, digital like combination was $7, and I was like, wow. I'm gonna and sometimes Amazon, at least it's been my like you buy a DVD and then they let you watch it on Prime before it gets to you because you bought it. And I was like, okay, I'll buy it and then I'll watch it. And this was yesterday, so the day before we were recording.
Yeah,
I do it and I can't watch it. They're not gonna let me watch it. I was like, oh,
no,
come on. So I have the DVD now. I'm like, it's okay. I love the movie now. So spoilers for future. I like it. But I still had to figure out. So I had to end up like getting a 7-day subscription to like a random streaming service. So yeah, all that. But I own a copy now. But all that to say, I have a lot of fond memories of the story of Little Woman, and this movie is going to be on probably rotation in my life for the foreseeable future.
Nice.
But
there are something you mentioned earlier about the iteration you watched, the 1949 one. There are 5 versions: 1917, 1918, 1933, that one, and then 1994, and then this one, of course. So.
Okay. So they're like trying to get it right there for a little bit. 1917, then 1919.
Yeah, 1918.
How different would they be from like 2 years?
I have no idea.
That's so weird. 1917.
There's 1918.
1918 American film, and then there's a 1917 British film.
Oh, okay. That's why it's like.
So maybe the Americans were trying to outdo the Brits.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then there's a British television program in the 1970s called Little Women. I'm pretty sure it's probably the same story. And then a American television miniseries in 1978. Yeah. Let's jump in to 2019's masterpiece, Little Woman. So, like I said, Little Woman was released on Christmas Day of 2019. It was directed by Greta Gerwig, written also by Greta Gerwig, although based on the novel by Louisa May Alcott. The music by, I didn't look up how to say this name, so I'm gonna butcher it. Alexander Desplat, I think it's probably French, but he's done. Do you know how to say it better? I don't know.
I don't know. I was gonna say Desplat, but I don't think
okay.
that's. I don't think.
Well, if anyone knows, leave it in the. If you're on Spotify, you can like leave like how was this episode? Just tell us how badly we butcher that name, please. But he did some of the works on the later Harry Potter movies and Secret Life of Pets. So one of my favorite animated movies of all time. But you disagree. But that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. We're not getting off topic this episode.
Yes. This movie is starring Saoirse Ronan as Jo March, Emma Watson as Meg March, Florence Pugh as Amy March, Eliza Scanlon as Beth March, Timothy Chalamet as Laurie Lawrence, Laura Dern as Marmee, Bob Odenkirk as Father, Meryl Streep as Aunt March, and also starring James Norton, Louise Garrel, Chris Cooper, Jane Hudashell, and Tracy Letts. So thoughts on the cast and crew?
Yeah. So for like major like awesome actors for the girls of the March sisters, like you got Emma Watson, you got Rona, you got Florence Pugh. Like I remember watching this and like kind of having a celebrity crush on Florence Pugh for a second there after
let's
watching
be honest,
this.
Who hasn't, to be perfectly honest? And for that matter of fact, Emma Watson too. Like
I don't. She was kind of the older sister, so I don't know.
Okay, hey, valid.
But Timothy Chalamet, this was my first movie seeing him in it. I know he was younger. He was a younger actor, so I know he was probably in a few things before this. But this was my first movie with him in it. So
yeah, I want to say this was like, I mean, he was in a little bit of stuff like before this.
Yeah,
but like, I feel like this was probably his. Like this is what like really pushed him into the spotlight, at least in my opinion. But
and then Laura Dern,
yes,
she's famous for a lot of things, including like Jurassic Park. Very famous for that. But yeah, she's always great.
Yes.
And then Meryl Streep, she's like one of those classic actors. She's been around for years on end. So yeah.
Are you calling her old, man? Come on.
No, dude. That's like so this is a film class term. Like there's classic actors, man. There's
no. Valid.
Yeah.
Although
contemporary
she is
actors,
old.
classic, and then up and coming. There's three categories here, man.
Okay. Okay, valid. Continue, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. How about you point out? I don't know, like
no. The one thing I will say, like this cast is really good, lots of big names, but Bob Odenkirk as the father was just like so off the wall to me. I mean, he does a great job, and I think Bob Odenkirk is a great actor. But for me, I've never watched his the Better Call Saul TV show, which he's in.
Oh, I haven't watched that either.
It's a spinoff of Breaking Bad, right? I think.
I don't want to say that. I know it's like people like coincided with each other, but I don't.
Yes,
I don't know.
No, it is a spinoff of Breaking Bad. And he plays like a lawyer, I believe, from that TV show, and then it's like a spinoff.
Oh,
Saul Goodman. But and I also know him from The Office. He made a cameo on that. So like when I think of Bob Odenkirk, I think comedy actor.
Yeah. So.
I mean, he was in Incredibles too, in case you were wondering.
Oh,
he plays the Winston, I think, the guy who like brings him back out of retirement.
I've seen that like three times. I've seen that. Okay. Oh wait. Oh yeah.
Okay. The bad girl's brother.
Yeah.
But so like for me, seeing him in this like classic movie, you know, like the classic style movie, and like as a chaplain too, it was just like pretty crazy. But like he does a great job, and I'm not saying anything. But like you said, Timothy Chalamet kills it. I think Laura Dern is really endearing in this role. And like Saoirse Ronan, fantastic. Emma Watson, again, fantastic. Florence Pugh, fantastic. I also want to say like this was one of her coming out roles as well. I don't remember seeing her.
She
much
actually
everywhere.
Like cast herself. Like there's a thing like she actually like She wanted it to be like so bad. Like she wanted to be Joe so bad. I don't know. I do have
But
a
she
behind
was
the
Amy.
scenes.
Did you mean she wanted to be Amy so bad, or
I,
did she go into it
Sarah
wanting
Z. She's
Joe?
Joe. Sarah
No,
Z
no, no. I
is
was talking
Joe.
about Florence Pugh. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's what we got confused there.
Okay.
No, I was talking about Florence Pugh. But yeah, no,
Okay.
I knew Saoirse Ronan because she was in Lady Bird along with Greta
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
I can't remember
Yeah.
her last name. Greta
Gerwig.
Gerwig, as well as Timothy Chalamet. And they did that one together like 2 years prior. And so it's kind of like come like invite all my friends to come work on this with me, which to be perfectly honest would be a blast to be able to do that. But yeah, the cast is all really well, put in there. I also
Yeah.
like the guy who played Mr. Lawrence. I thought he did a really good job with which I don't have
Yes.
his name right at hand, but I think he did a
Bob,
really good job.
Chris Cooper.
Chris Cooper, yeah. Yeah, I think he did a really good job as well. And Meryl Streep is nasty as always. No, I'm just kidding. But no, she did a really good job as well. So yeah, and the music is amazing. I feel
Yeah,
like we say that
man.
about every movie we do, but like the music just
This
is incredible.
Yeah. And for the music, we should do like the one like bada bada, like you know that like
Yeah,
that
like that
theme.
the I believe it's the Little Woman theme, like the piano,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
dun
yeah. Yeah.
dun. Yeah, no,
Yeah. For
I
the
I went I went to look for music for like to put in the podcast, and
yeah.
I just ended up buying the whole album on Apple Music because like I'm like it's $10 for the whole thing, or I can do like $4 for 2 songs. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm just gonna go the extra 6 and get the other
Yeah.
20 songs because it's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the direction is phenomenal, and there's a lot of stuff in here that we'll end up talking about. I'm sure, you being a film student and me not being, but just
It's
liking this movie.
okay. You know things too. You know things too.
I do know things, but I don't know. Anyway, uh, Wesley, let's hear your behind the scenes facts,
Yes. Okay.
and we'll jump
So
in
yeah.
after that.
Yeah. In October 2013, it was announced that a new film adaptation of the novel Little Women by Louis May Alcott was in development at Sony Pictures. In March 2015, Amy Pascal joined as a producer on the new adaptation. In August 2016, Gerwig was hired to write the screenplay, and in June 2018, Gerwig was announced as the film's director, and in addition to being the screenwriter. She had heard about Sony's plans to adapt the book in 2015 and urged her agent to get in touch with the studio, conceding that while she was not on anybody's list to direct this film, it was something she aspired to do, citing how the book had inspired her to become a writer and director. Pascal described Gerwig's pitch as the ambition and dreams that you have as a girl, and how they get stomped out of you as you grow up, as well as commerce and art, and what we have to do to make things commercial. In addition to being Gerwig's first studio film she had directed, Little Women was her second solo directorial endeavor. Using Alcott's other writings as inspiration, Gerwig penned the script in 2018 to focus the film on its characters as adults. Gerwig incorporated a non-linear timeline. The ending differs from that in the novel by depicting the pleasures of a romance inside a story about Alcott realizing her artistic ambitions, which Gerwig believed it honors Alcott's true vision, given that Alcott had to satisfy the era's narrative expectations. Principal photography began in Boston in October 2018, with Harvard, Massachusetts serving as the main location. Additional locations all in the state of Massachusetts, the Shaker Museum in the Fruitlands of Harvard, and a property in which Alcott and her family had once resided was used as the location of Meg and John's home. In the midst of post-production, Gerwig discovered she was pregnant and kept it secret throughout. She imposed a ban on cell phones on set during filming. The cinematographer Yorick Lee, I don't want to say his last name, I'm gonna mess it up. Yeah, he or she, I don't know, shot on 35 millimeter camera film. After principal photography wrapped on December 16th, 2018, Gerwig began editing alongside editor Nick Hoy the following day, and later screened it for a Sony Pictures executives in New York City on March 10th, 2019, 3 days ahead of giving birth to her son. Since its release, Little Women is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 95% and earned $218 million at the box office globally.
Yeah. So you said, so real quick, York Losau, I believe is how you say it, and it is a dude.
Yeah.
And
okay.
he is a dude. I looked that up for you just to make sure.
Yeah.
And so you said, when did principal photography begin?
It began in let me see here.
You said like
it
was
began
like
in Boston in October of 2018.
Yeah. So and then it was released in December. So they had 14 months to get everything finished, which I think is just crazy because this movie is not just thrown together. I mean,
yeah,
there are a few places that I noticed where the cutting wasn't exactly like crisp because like there's one scene where Laurie's hand is like on his leg and then it cuts to like a different POV and it's like out over here. It's when Meg and him are sitting, or not Meg, sorry, Amy.
Okay.
And he are sitting and she's drawing right before he like proposes to her or whatever. And his hand's like on his leg and then it moves and he's like leaning on it. It's like, so like the cuts are a little weird. Yeah. And there's another spot or two, but no, I think this movie to only have 14 months to get everything thrown together, I think is like really impressive.
Yeah. And it did help. It did help that it was like all in Massachusetts with the filming. Yeah. So it was like they could get the filming done like pretty quickly.
No, for sure.
So,
yeah.
Like, so yeah.
But still, man. That's impressive.
It's a whole production. So like
yeah. And it's a 2.5 hour movie, I want to
say. 2 hours and 15 minutes, 14 minutes.
Yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes. You're right. Yeah.
So
yeah. So but still, that is impressive. That's crazy. And also the fact that she was pregnant during it. I just think that's just adds to her level of boss lady, man. But also, something I want to mention real quick is Greta Gerwig. I can never remember her last name. She's the one directing the new Barbie movie, which looks, if I may say, phenomenal. I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
That's gonna blow up. That's gonna like,
for sure. It's gonna be everywhere. And I hope for her sake and for the movie's sake, it's actually good.
Yeah, it looks kind of like, I don't know, Twitter-ish. I feel like a lot of people are on Twitter are gonna be like memeing and stuff like that. You know, I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
But like, I think it's gonna be she's a great director. So I feel like,
and
I think it's just like with the trailer. I think it's just with the trailers how like it's shaping. The trailers are showing it right now. So you know, like yeah.
No, I mean you got Ryan Gosling, who's always amazing, and then Margot Robbie and anyway, we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about Little Women. Oh, before we jump, sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier. We didn't have a synopsis written up for us. The IMDb and the Wikipedia pages and all the Fanatic pages were pretty much the same. Like they stole it from either IMDb or Wikipedia. I'm assuming they probably stole it from Wikipedia and then just transferred it to IMDb and then all the fan pages. So I today, like 5 hours before we started recording, like skimmed through the movie and just typed up the best I could. So if it is off, bear with us, please, and forgive us. And it's a jumbled mess of a movie to begin with. Like it jumps present, past, future, everything.
And and with my notes, like I have it like detailed too, but we're on my part, I didn't actually finish this movie. Oh my, what? He didn't finish the movie? Yeah, so
I believe you did that with another movie recently, didn't you?
I almost did. It was
it La La Land?
Yeah, it was La La Land. Yeah, I had to skip like a minute or two. It was like the last scene, not the last scene, but when they were like the long sequence of them, like the last 10 minutes. Yeah. You know.
Which is
yeah.
You can skip that a little bit, but
well, anyway. I was at least looking at the like.
No, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever. So
Anyways,
if it's messed up, well, please forgive us.
yeah.
But yeah, so let's jump
Yeah.
in to Little Woman. We open with the classic well, the Sony logo first, and then the classic vintage Columbia logo, which I thought was really nice, and then
Yes.
a Regency Films logo, and then we got a nice quote by Louisa May Alcott that says, if I can
I've had a
find
lot
it
of
here.
trouble. I've had a lot of troubles.
Oh, you got it.
So I write jolly tales.
Yes, and she did. That is for sure.
Yes.
At the beginning, we see where everyone is in our story, so we kind of jump in. So the way the story of Little Woman set out is it's like, well, like just like their life basically, up until they all get married. And spoiler alert, sorry, if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, or watch the other like 15 movies, then you're missing out. And you should go do that before you watch it. But like, so like we jump in the middle of it. So Joe is in New York. She's working at a boarding school, or I believe it's boarding school. Amy is in France with her aunt March and Lori Lawrence, who is a family friend. And Meg is married and living a semi-poor life. So we see where everyone is in their life currently.
Yeah.
And Joe sells us a script, or not script, sorry, a story to the newspaper. And yeah, so she hangs out with Professor Bear as well, who is also at the boarding school. Amy runs into Lori in France and invites him to a party that they're having that night, and Meg buys the expensive silk, which she can't afford, but is talked into by her friend, who is a rich snob.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Joe goes to like the theater, and then she dances with Professor Bear, and then we cut to the past. And we're beginning the cut and past.
Okay, yeah, I have a lot of notes for that whole section.
Okay, so go ahead. Take it away, man.
Yeah, so
mine is not very detailed. So if you have notes,
okay,
please.
like I went at least through it when I the majority of the movie I watched, like I went like I don't know, like which
is okay because I've watched the end like 3 times, and the first part like
so that's how
we're
so
set.
when we get to the end, like you'll be set, and
I'll
then
be set,
like yeah. So
yeah,
okay, so I love the first shot. Like you see Joe like just standing there by a door. Well, we don't even know who she is yet, of course. Well, if you've read the book, of course you know who she is.
Or watch the 7.
Well, actually, you don't even know who she is. We don't even see her. It's just behind. So anyway, I love just like the foreshadowing of like here at the beginning of the movie and then to the end of the movie. Like this first scene, I like how it opened up with Mr. Dashwood. And you kind of see already here like what the climate is, like how she kind of like lies about her writing the book and stuff like that to Mr. Dashwood, like editing and all that. I like the one line that Mr. Dashwood says, morals don't sell nowadays. Perhaps mention that to your friend. So he was like, like he kind of like was not like, I don't think he was like, he didn't know who it was, like who wrote it, but she kind of had like an idea it was her or something.
No, I think he does, because later on in the movie he says, make sure you tell that to your friend, or please send us more of your writing or your friend's writing. And then he's like,
so then I like how like she doesn't have a name for the story yet, and so it was a pretty interesting first scene. And then another thing to point out, so then she goes like running through the streets. She got the money, of course, for the
$20.
She got the $20 or whatever,
which nowadays doesn't seem like much, but back then it was.
But back then it was like a fortune. She goes running through the streets, and one thing I had to point out here, in the first half of the movie, there's some instances where like there's a slow-mo shot of like, so there's like one shot of her in where it like slows down, I guess, when she's running.
Yeah.
And like the music's going and stuff like that. Because there's another part like later with Amy, and she's looking at a Lori, and that kind of slows down too. So, just some things to point out. I have a behind the scenes fact. So Alexander Desplat revealed that Gerwig wanted the score to be a mix of Mozart and David Bowie. I don't know where this is. David
Bowie.
Yeah.
I do not tell date. I can't tell. Wow, I don't. Okay,
So I don't
I can
know.
definitely tell Mozart, but not,
So so yeah, I don't know.
you know what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that there because like when she enters the house, you hear that first like lyrical, not lyrical, but the piano like da 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 da, like I don't know.
Yes.
I love that theme. But like, yeah, so and then she gets on fire too. That's like hilarious.
Oh, you're
Um
on fire. Thank you.
You're on fire. You're on fire. Uh, um
Yes.
uh yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything about those first two scenes, I guess?
Not
Or
really. No. I think I think I think it's a great setup. Like, especially for people like, so this movie is weird because obviously it's been around forever, the story, but like you're trying to do it in a way like people who have like younger kids who have never like read the book or watched any of the movies, or in my case, like listened to the radio drama. They don't know the story yet. So you're trying to introduce the characters to them for the first time, but while also keeping something that's so true about the character, like keeping the essence of the character for people who do know the characters from like the book. So I think that's something that this does really well, is like right off the bat, even before, like you meet Joe, you meet Professor Bear, and then in the right next scene you meet Laurie and you meet Amy, and then you meet Meg and John Brooke, and then, or no, not John Brooke yet. You meet Meg,
no.
and then you like Beth, and you Marmee, and everyone. Like within like the first 10 minutes, you've met everyone who you know from the other
Yeah.
stuff, but not in the normal way you meet them. Like, because
Yeah.
normally in the movies and in the like in the 1994, I'm not sure if it's the same. I haven't seen that one, but like it opens up like Christmas time with the
Yeah,
four sisters
it's
and
basically a
Marmee
Christmas movie
out with the
too.
Hummel. Yeah,
It's just in the Christmas, like I don't know, like
yeah,
most of it else.
yeah. So you meet the girls, and then about 10 minutes in, you meet Lori, and then John Brooke, and then so like, but like this one, you meet everybody right off the bat, like within the first 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
then we figure out how they meet each other in the past. So I don't know. I just think that's how this movie does a really good job of that in the first few minutes.
One thing I want to point out, there's a quote from uh here when she is talking to the Frenchman or
Professor Bear.
Italian man. Yeah, Bear. She says, "Money is the end and aim of my mercenary existence." And you
Yes.
kind of see throughout the movie and near the end of the movie how she slowly focuses on at least her sister, not to, like spoil the movie, but like through that, I guess, and her a family more than it, but just using the money she gets for her family.
Yeah.
And then I have another behind the scenes fact here. There were 75 principal period costumes made, and each one took reportedly 40 hours to create.
Jeez.
Yeah. And each sister got their own colors, specifically green and lavender for Meg, brown and pink for Beth, red and indigo, and that color for Joe,
Indigo.
and light indigo. Yes.
Yeah.
My brain. And light blue for Amy. So like
Yep.
each
Yep.
sister had a specific palette of colors. So
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Amy runs into Lori in France, and she invites him to the party, like we said, and Meg is at the store, and then she buys the silk, and then we see that she's married and she has
Yes.
little kids, and Beth is at home playing the piano. Very very quick scene with Beth, but you're like, there
Oh
she is.
my gosh, I love that. Oh, sorry to get sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
no,
like
go ahead.
these shots, just going to the house here, like these establishing shots of her playing the piano and just
Yeah.
going to the house. I love how we see her in the house first. Like she's the first one we see in the house. Like it's really cool how they did that and how like her connection to the house throughout the movie,
Yes.
And It's just
Wait, you're talking Beth or Amy?
Beth.
Beth. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, not Amy. Sorry, I meant Meg. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, but I get Meg and Amy
Yeah, it's
so
kind of like
confused. Like the names. I know who I'm talking about and I know which sister does what,
yeah.
but I get the names so confused and it bugs me because I know what I'm trying to talk about and I can't talk about it. And it's so irritating.
Yeah, and we also see like their distinct traits. Like she likes piano, Amy's like painting there, and Joe was writing, and then like Beth is just being a mom, I guess. So
In a way. Yeah.
yeah.
But you were asking, you were wondering about Professor Bear is German, supposedly.
German. Okay.
So just in case. And then after Beth is playing the piano, we cut to the theater in New York and
Yes.
Professor Bear's enjoying a show. He looks back and he sees Joe there also watching it. He gets distracted by Joe, as most men do with pretty ladies. And then we are at a party and Joe is pulled in by a random immigrant and they start dancing. And then it winds up Professor Bear, sorry, and Joe begin to dance with each other. And then we get a flashback 7 years earlier.
Yes.
And so thoughts about the theater and the dancing
Yes.
before we get
So there's
into
a
the
lot of
fest.
dancing. There's a lot of dancing in this movie.
There is a surprisingly large amount of dancing.
And it's like it's there, but you don't even like it seems like you're not even focusing on it either. Like it's not like it's like long periods of time, of course. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like he's okay. Bear. I don't know. You don't like him?
No. I do like the
Okay.
character.
Okay.
I think he's in it very little
Yeah, he is.
in this movie
Well,
because
yeah.
like in the book and in previous adaptations, there's more to do with Joe and the boarding school
Yeah.
than there in this adaptation.
That
So
is
he's in
true.
it a bit more. And I think the actor does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
But his character is very much two-dimensional in this, I feel like. So
Yeah.
which
So
is okay in a 2 hours and 14 minutes. We're more invested in the girls than the guys. And well, the girls and Lori. But
yeah.
so I understand why they did what they had to do. But yeah.
I have another behind the scenes fact. Sorry.
No,
Like
go
I
ahead.
just got a bunch. I got a bunch. There won't be one for another while. But as well as paying attention, close attention to the maneuvering of plot, Gerwig was meticulous in with her color editing for the film as well. The memories of the girls from childhood are shot with a warm golden glow to infuse
Yes.
them with a feeling of nostalgia, while the memories of adulthood are shot with a colder filter. So
Yes. No.
shot differently. So
When I first was watching this film, I didn't notice that, and I was like, it's all over the place. I don't like. What are they doing? And then watching this again, I was like, wait a second. It's like warmer for the memories of like childhood because Joe says something like that when right before Meg's wedding, she's
yeah,
like, I just want to like us to stay in the childhood or whatever. And so like
just to go off. Yeah,
yeah, and it would make sense that it would be like the warm nostalgia feelings like we have even now of like
yeah,
man, I remember when I was like 9 and mac and cheese, dude, was like a comfort food. I mean, still is. So like, but it makes sense. And then like adulthood is seen more. It can be looked at more with like a not a bitterness, but more of a cynical outlook on life is the word I was looking for. And so it would
yeah,
make sense why it's colder. And I think it does a great job now watching it again of contrasting and be like, okay, without every time saying 7 years earlier, present day, because like
yeah,
that could have gotten old very quickly.
yeah.
But with the red and the blue tinted like color filters, I think it does a phenomenal job at that. So, but yeah. So 7 years earlier, all the girls are sitting around while Joe is trying to curl Amy's, or again with the name slip up. I'm so sorry, guys. Meg's hair for a ball that they will be attending, or a dance that they'll be attending at the house of, I believe, I'm not for sure, but I think is it the Lawrence's house, or is it someone else's house and Lori just happens to be there?
I think it's somebody else's because
Okay.
it does not look like we see the outside area, and
Oh,
it
the
like,
Lawrence's house, yeah.
yeah, well, and of
I mean,
a
we
where
get a
they're,
little bit of the inside, but not a
yeah,
lot.
but like when they're dancing here in a little bit, like we see the like outside of it. So I don't know. But it is dark, so we don't really, yeah. So
Yeah. So they're at a party, and Amy, or they're going to the party, and
yeah.
Amy, Meg, Joe. There's too many names. Joe is curling Meg's hair. Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
I'm so sorry, guys. But then like she burns some off, I guess. That apparently used to be a
Why is
thing.
her hair off?
Yeah.
Beth said that.
But yeah, and Meg is freaking out because Meg likes to look pretty and likes to give off the air
Yeah.
of prettiness. And Amy and Beth are laughing, and Joe's freaking out because she just ruined Meg's hair. And then it cuts, and they're going to the ball.
Yeah.
Which I think it's an interesting way to do it. I like it, but it's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
not putting everything in the book that was in the book into the movie, like every beat, and just like having the hair come off and then just cutting to the ball. Like, they fixed it. It's okay. And they're not mad at each other. But at the ball, Meg is pulled away by some of her friends, and Joe is just standing there. And we don't know why. She's trying to get Meg to leave. Meg doesn't want to leave. She's acknowledged by Fred Vaughn, who will become a bit of a plot point later on in the movie.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's Fred. Oh
Yeah,
okay.
played by Dash Barber.
I didn't.
Don't know who he is.
My
but-
mind blanks there. I didn't know that was.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I was on the rewatch that I did to get the. I was like, oh, that's Fred. I didn't notice that until.
Yeah.
Also, in all my notes, he's called Frank, because for some reason I thought his name was Frank. And then I was watching the end, the beginning, and when Timothy Chalamet goes, Fred Vaughn, everybody, I was like, oh, it's
yeah,
Fred.
Fred Vaughn. Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll know what I mean. Anyway, but Joe quickly ducks out, and she runs into Theodore Lawrence, or Laurie, as he is called,
Laurie.
or
Yes.
Teddy, as Joe affectionately calls him. And he asks if she likes to dance. She says she can't because she scorched her dress, and Meg told her to stand still so no one saw it. And I almost called him Timothy Chalamet. Laurie says he knows how to fix that. And so we get a nice, again, dancing. We're only 15 minutes into the movie, and there's been two dance sequences.
That's
but
crazy.
I love the way this one's shot, of the like seeing the outside where Joe and Laurie are like mocking everyone who's dancing.
Yeah.
And everyone else actually dancing inside. I thought that was really cool.
They're going crazy out there.
Yeah, they're going ham. But then we see that Meg sprained her ankle, and so Joel and Laurie help her back to the house. So we'll stop there before it gets chaotic. And Wesley, your thoughts?
Yeah. So we also hear when oh, now I'm doing it. Joe and Laurie are talking. We hear that Joe's father is in the army.
Oh yes, yes, major plot point.
So yeah, so he's not around, of course. For at least most of the movie, and I don't know. It's been a while since I've read the book, so probably most of the book too. So
well, okay. Now is the best time to point this out. But so like the book was actually two books smashed together. So the first book is called Little Woman, and it starts from Christmas to Christmas when her father comes back. And then the second part is Good Wives, which focuses on their adult life.
Okay,
So in this movie, Good Wives is the blue, Little Women is the red, basically.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So
behind the scenes fact. Well, just a fact.
Yes, a book fact with Andrew Augustine.
Book fact.
Real quick, I want to shout out my sister. She's a writer, Anna Augustine. She was on the Thor episode.
Yes, she was.
And she was the one that told me about that. And she has a book podcast. It's called Old Enough for Fairy Tales, with Anna Augustine and Kirsten Newland. So go check that out if you're into books as well. And yeah, anyway, little plug. But
Yeah.
she gave me that little fact, and I had to shout it out.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
So back to your points.
Yeah, so we see the chemistry here like right away between Joe and Laurie. It's just, I don't know, it's pretty good. And like we said, like the dancing was hilarious between them and like outside and stuff. And yeah, and that we get the first scene of all four of them when the flashback ensues. We get the first scene of them all four together, and like
Yep.
whenever it's like all four of them in a room, like I'm gonna keep saying this throughout the review here. Like the chemistry between them all is just so
Yes.
great, good. It's so
Yes.
good.
So my sister was watching it, Anna again, before I came up to record this, and this scene came on. I was like preparing dinner, and this scene came on. Well, the scene where they bring Meg back to the house, and you were talking about the scene, all of them together. Just anytime they're all together, or like the whole family's together, and they're just talking.
Yeah,
I just find it so fun, and like you can't understand a thing they're saying. Like really, like you can pick out a bit and pieces, but like they're all talking and they're all having fun. But I just find it so real, and it's a lot like La La Land, like we were talking about back in the La La Land episode, where Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling's like the way they act was just like so real life. And like real people stutter, real people talk over each other like all the time. And so like in these scenes, they're like all talking and just having fun, and it just feels like a family. And it reminds me of my family and like family get-togethers and everything. And I just think it's so fun.
Yeah, it's great.
But and
even in the next scene, like the next scene when they come home, like
yeah, no, yeah,
so
exactly, yes.
So
yeah,
yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So like we said, Laurie and Joe bring Meg back, and they that we meet Marmee for the first time. Well, we heard Marmee calling Beth's name at the beginning.
Yeah,
but like we meet Laura Dern as Marmee, and from the moment she comes on the screen, she is just lovely. She meets Laurie, and she tells him to call her mother or Marmee because everyone else does. And so they're tending to Meg's ankle, and we also meet Hannah, the housekeeper. She's so fun. That character is fun. The actor, whose name I think I butchered at the beginning, Jane Hudeshell, does a great job with that character, and she doesn't have a lot to do in this movie, but she shines every time she's on the screen as well. But yeah, Laurie is longing for a family, and so he leaves, and he stares at Joe riding in the window. And then that window becomes the window in New York, and we're back to the present. So
yes.
And we'll stop there. What did you think about their whole family together?
Yeah. Well, we already talked about it.
We already talked about it. Yeah, we kind of did. I just didn't know if you had anything else to say.
Yeah, there's one moment here, Laurie comes in. Well, he sees all the girls and stuff like around, and he's just looking at them in here, like at the entrance.
Yeah.
And there's like kind of like, I don't know, there's some foreshadowing with this type of thing. Like I know Joe does it like twice later in the film, where she comes in. Well, there's once that Marmee does it too, where she's just like standing there by the entrance also for a second there. So it's like, I don't know, kind of some foreshadowing, like a few separate times of like a few separate scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
But anyways, just, I don't know. It's just a little thing I saw.
Yeah.
Amy was just like staring at him, like
a little foreshadowing there too as well.
Yeah, a little foreshadowing there. It's just great. We see all of their dynamic, and we see Laura Dern's acting here on display, and like she's like the mom. She's literally the mom.
Yes.
So yeah,
good stuff. But yeah, we jump back to New York, where Joe is riding in her room. I believe she hears a knock on the door, and there are a bundle of books. I can't remember if she just got up to the door or if there was a knock, but it makes sense if there was a knock. A bundle of Shakespeare outside her door with a note from Frederick Bear saying that he noticed her at the theater, and so he got her those. And if she ever needs someone to read her writing, that he would be more than willing to do it. And so she begins to read Shakespeare, And then we cut to the ball that Amy invited Lori to. Amy is
Yes.
dancing with the
Fred Vaughn.
Fred Vaughn, the ever thorn in everyone's side, Fred Vaughn. And she sees Lori walk in and drunk with a lady on each arm, which is anyway, Gaston's dream. But basically Amy tells him off for being a selfish, entitled piece of garbage. Basically, she says that she despises him, which is valid. And then we jump back to New York, where Frederick Bear is reading Joe's writing, and he says that is basically crap, and that he thought he knows that she has talent, and that's why he's being so hard on her. And she basically tells him off and tells him that they're not friends, and that he can get out because he's being rude. And that's when I did it again. Sorry, like someone count these. How many times I get the names mixed up, please. And that's when Joe gets the letter about Beth saying that she's not doing well and that she needs to come home. And so she does. And on the train, we get a nice transition of her asleep on the train and then asleep in the attic back at home. And we're back in the past. Wesley, thoughts?
Yes. So we get to see not even friendship, but something spark, I guess, between Joe and the man, I forgot his name again. I don't know his name.
Frederick Bear.
Frederick. So we see them here. And I lost my notes. Sorry, guys. I am so bad at this. I always why do I always move? I always move my notes and then
it happens to the
anyways.
best of us, dude. I do that too.
Yes. So yeah. Oh wait, we didn't. So yeah, they're at the ball too. Amy and Fred. We get to see Fred here, and then Lori. We already said it earlier, but Lori calling out Fred. That was hilarious.
Fred Vaughn, everybody.
He throws his drink in the air. So yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah. And so and then we get the scene with a Friedrich critiquing Joe's things. Her novel, unexpectedly. He doesn't know that. Well, he does, or I think, or yeah,
Yes.
So, and she's kind of blowing him off and stuff. And I like how he's just agreeing with her. Like when she said, "Everyone will forget you ever lived," and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm sure they will."
And no one will forget me. And he says, "Yes, I'm sure."
That was pretty hilarious. But she was really overreacting, but I can definitely see that. I feel like I would do the same thing. Literally, yeah. I think I would do that same thing.
No,
so, I'm not I can't be why did you do that? I feel like that was kind of real anyway. So yeah.
No, I'd probably act the same way as well. To be perfectly honest.
Oh wait, and then we get a letter. Wait, yeah, you said
no. I mentioned
she goes
the letter,
home.
Yep.
Yeah, she goes home. Beth is sick, so yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so we get that cut to the present or the past, Christmas Day, and this is the beginning of the novel and the radio drama and most of the movies, I'm gonna assume. But and it's Christmas Day, and Joe fell asleep writing. She runs downstairs. Well, first she looks out the window, sees the snow, runs downstairs, and the sisters are all there. Meg is talking about how she wishes she had money. Joe says that it's not Christmas without any presents, and Beth reminds them that they have each other and mother and father, and that's all they need. And then we get another hint that Papa's in the army, and Amy is fiddling with her nose, because in the book the nose is a lot more prominent than in this adaptation of the movie. Marmy comes back from helping out the Hummels, who are a poor family and they have lots of kids. Hannah's been cooking up breakfast, and Marmy asks if they would be willing to take their food to the Hummels to spread a little Christmas cheer. They reluctantly do it, and they help out. We get a nice little montage of them with the Hummel family. And then they come home, and there's an even bigger feast on the table. And Marmee says that it was the Lawrences who brought it because they saw that they were taking their food to the Hummels, and they wanted them to have a Merry Christmas and to be blessed just like they blessed the Hummels. And then,
Specifically Lori.
yes, well, they say it's Laurie, but we don't know if
Yeah.
it's exactly Laurie or if it's actually
I don't know.
Mr.
I feel like it was like he gave the intention of like
I would, yeah,
convinced him like to
but it's Papa Lawrence's money, so
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
they get a letter from Father though, and they all sit around and listen to it, and which is a shot that they also had in the 1949 version of them all crowded around Marmee listening to it, and it's almost like exactly positioned the same way. But anyway, and then they put on the play. Yes, that's right. They put on the play for all the little. I believe it's girls. Is it just girls or is it both?
Well, I
Boys
don't
and
know.
girls?
I don't
I don't
know.
know. The little kids of Concord. And yeah, that's before we jump back to the present day. So yeah, take it away, Wesley.
Yeah, so again, we see as a it's Christmas Day, we see right there again with all the girls, the scene with all the girls, we see all of the things like Amy's dreams, Joe's like writing and like with her script and all that for the play, and then like Beth wanting the family to stay together, and just Meg being that older sister and being like, oh, it's all for like we need to follow Marmee and I don't know, support the troops. Yeah. But yeah, and there's another theme here comes into play with the giving and stuff like that in the movie. With them taking the meal to the Hummels, and and then that was a pretty cool scene. Well, sad scene because of the family, but
Yes.
And we see one thing we didn't mention, we see Lori when they're going to give the meal. We see Lori watching from a distance in the mansion as they like exited their house.
Yes.
And they're with the tutor. We haven't mentioned him yet.
John Brooke.
Yeah, John Brooke, his tutor, Laurie's tutor, and then his grandfather also is there. They're all eating a meal together, and his grandfather's kind of annoyed at Laurie because he's just staring at the window and not being like has manners and all that. So kind of funny scene.
I don't remember that scene.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of like another thing. Like we see like a few instances where like in the past, like we see Laurie looking at the window, but then there's one instance later in the movie where we see a grandfather look out the window, and I'll tell you where that is. But that was kind of like some cool, like, I don't know. Yeah. And then it was kind of like that montage state where they performed the play, and that was pretty just like something like anybody did that. Like when we were
talking about how you reenacted Indiana Jones with your brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's on film. That is literally on film. So
I still waiting to see it. Still waiting to see it.
I'll put, you know what? I have it on my computer. I'll cut a video together, maybe like a short video, and then put it on the Instagram page.
Please do. I would love to see it.
I know we talked about the Avengers. I made an Avengers video too. Could not find that. I don't know where that is. I didn't tell you, but I could not find that.
That's sad. But we'll settle.
Yeah, I know. That one's funny. That one's funny too. Yeah, that one's funny too, but I couldn't find that. So yeah, I'll do that. Anyways, so we get to the present. Joe was asleep on the train. So
Joe is asleep on the train. The conductor wakes her up. We cut quickly to the boarding house where Professor Bear is talking to Mrs. Kirk, and she tells him that Joe went back to Concord. And then we cut back to Joe running through the streets of Concord, and then we flash.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we flash back to the past where the sisters are walking, all four of them, arm in arm, down that same street, which I thought was a really fun transition. Joe
Yeah.
and Amy head off in one direction. Amy's just going to school and Joe's going to Aunt March's, and then Beth and Meg are going somewhere else. We don't ever find out where they go. But anyway, Joe, fourth time, is reading to Aunt March, played by Meryl Streep, which I thought was funny to have a huge actor like Meryl Streep in like kind of like a supporting role, but she's perfect for Aunt March. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. She knocks it out of the park. But Joe is reading to Aunt March, and we find out that she's getting paid to do so. I can't remember exactly what Aunt March is talking to her about. Is it about marrying rich? Is that what? Or no, she's talking about Europe. She's talking about Europe and talking about how she wants to go to France one more time, and she would like a companion. And
she says like she's rich because she didn't marry. Like she says like. So
yes,
and then she criticizes her mom and dad too.
Yeah, for losing all the money and marrying rich. I don't know. But yeah, she is the brother of their father.
Oh, and we hear like she wants a companion for
to go to France.
Her last Europe trip or whatever. Yeah, France.
Which she dies on. So karma's kind of a butthole. Anyway, and then we flash to Amy's school where she's being coerced into drawing a picture of the professor or their teacher. And she gets in trouble for doing so because the teacher sneaks up behind her and catches her doing it. She gets like smacked on the hand. John Brooke and the tutor and Lori are going over French. Is that correct?
Latin.
Well, it was some kind of language.
Yeah.
And Lori thinks it's a waste of time. He's staring out the window rather eerily, like he's being very creepy while doing so.
Yeah. He's like standing on a chair. He's just like
he's standing on the chair and he's like, "There's a girl out there." It's like,
"There's a girl out there."
Why are you staring, dude?
That's so sus.
It's very creepy. I mean, Timothée Chalamet just has a like kind of like a very not a creepy disposition, but like his resting face is very like like I'm visually doing it, but like very very lazy, like resting face. Like it's just like everything sags kind of. I'm not trying to be rude at all, but that's just so like when he's staring, it's like really creepy. But it's Amy. Amy's out the window and she's both like smacked on the hand with a ruler, which, I mean, one, abusive, but two, children were so much more well behaved back then when teachers were allowed to do that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. It's a joke, guys. Sorry, probably not. Anyway, and John Brooke and Lori bring her inside, help her bandage up, and then that is when we meet the Mr. Lawrence. Like, I mean, we've already met him.
Yeah.
But everyone rushes in. Meg and Marmee and Joe and Beth. No, Beth is not there. Just Joe and March. Joe and Meg and Marmee.
Joe starts talking first, and she comments to Lori, and then to Amy, and then to Lori again.
Joe sees a picture of grandfather Lawrence on the wall, and she says, "My grandfather was prettier or more handsome than him." And then he walks in, he's like, "I know your grandfather," and yes, he was, or something like that.
Was it Christopher Columbus, or did she say that Christopher Columbus or something?
No. It's a picture. That's just an exclamation that she uses a lot more in the book. She just goes, "Christopher Columbus." And
well, I don't know. I feel like she said that or something.
No, she did say it. She did say it in the scene, but that's when.
Okay.
That's when he sneaks up on her, I think, and she just goes, "Oh, Christopher Columbus," like as an exclamation.
I don't know.
But it's an exclamation that Joe uses. So, but and so Beth, he invites the girls to come over anytime, use the library, play the piano, and Marmee says thank you, and then we flash to a what is it called? Club meeting, where they're all pretending to be like middle-aged men, which I think is hilarious. And again, any scene where they can just like be crazy and be together, I think is just it's pure gold in my opinion.
Oh wait, a club meeting? The next place is a Joe go back to the present. Joe stopped by with her luggage near a wooded area with a mailbox.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. There's a slight scene. Yeah.
Oh wait. Right. Oh yeah. No, you're in the attic. Yes. And then
it's like
my notes.
You're correct. No, you're correct. That is the order in which it comes. But I totally forgot about it.
And then she looks at a key, and then it goes back to the past.
But you are correct. You are correct that there's like a split scene right there. Like
Yeah,
two
the
fire
key.
seconds of Joe arriving at the mailbox, pulling out a key, and then the key switches to the club meeting
Yeah,
in the attic
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where they're voting on whether or not to allow Lori into their club. And they do, and then Lori tumbles out of like the costume rack or whatever and says, and he shows them the key that he for the mailbox that he made, one for each of them, so they can leave like letters and everything. And he is now part of their little group, which I think, man, just like the way he just slowly becomes family in this iteration, and he's just like always not always there, but like he starts being part of the family, like coming and going as like a member of the family would. I just think that's so fun. But yes, so we'll stop there before we get to a little bit more present time. I know we just did like a little bit of presents, but that was like 5 seconds of the present. So
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Wesley.
Yeah, so yeah, we covered a lot. So
Yes, we did.
yeah,
We covered from Christmas up
the
till now.
ants, yes. So so I have a behind the scenes fact here.
Oh,
So one key aspect was the setting, of course, and it was, of course, we already said, entirely shot on location in Concord, Massachusetts. But yeah, well, not entirely because they went to Harvard too. But well, is Harvard? Yeah, well, it's all in Massachusetts. It's all in Massachusetts.
All in one state.
Which is where the book takes place. And the location scouts also found a few notable backdrops that were true to the time period. For instance, they were able to shoot a scene in that schoolhouse where Alcott's father Bronson taught, which is not open to the public. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
So like Meg's or Amy's. I was right. I was gonna say Amy. And
Amy.
Then,
Amy.
Yeah, Amy's club. Or not club.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yes, school.
Yeah. So and then we got that sus scene with him looking out the window, Lori.
There's a girl out there.
There's a girl. That's definitely there's probably a meme out somewhere of that. Anyway, yeah, and we get them all together for the first time with the Lawrences and then the tutor and then all of them, and we see the first interaction. Oh, one thing we didn't mention, Meg left her glove there at the house accidentally. At first I thought it was on purpose, but it wasn't on purpose because she just forgot her glove when they left. But yeah, I like how we see the interest. The grandfather is interested in Beth. We didn't mention also. Beth isn't there with them. It's only Meg, Amy, and Joe.
No, I did say that. I said that.
Oh wait, we
did.
did. Yeah, we did.
Okay,
sorry.
Sorry. You're good.
Sorry.
We're good.
It's
better that you correct me than
yeah.
Go on.
So, there's one comment like where the John says there's also a lovely greenhouse and everybody like pauses and then they leave.
Yes, no, that was funny because they were talking about all the great things,
all the stuff,
manor, and then he just goes, and a lovely greenhouse, and they're just like, you were not part of this conversation, dude. Get out of here. Yeah. But he's smitten for Meg. Yes.
But yeah, and so what I was saying, the grandfather kind of interested in the quiet girl who is a Beth, and that he said that she can use the piano whenever she wants and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's just a funny scene. So yeah.
No, it is.
The scene with them all together in the attic. That scene.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we touched on that one too.
So yeah, we did. I love the part where all of them just start talking when Joe proposes Lori to be a new member. Everybody's just like shocked, and then like all of them just start talking in their normal voices, and like Amy says, "Absolutely not." Like,
yes, which I think is so funny. Like I've mentioned it multiple times already, and I'm gonna continue to mention it. Any scene where they just like start talking all at once, I just find so funny, and I love it. I don't know why, dude. Like, I just think it's so real, and I love when movies, you can tell it, like it's almost like you're just sitting there with them, and it's not like a movie. We had that in La La Land, and we have this in that movie, and we have it in this movie too. I just think it's
Yeah.
so great. Sorry, continue if you have anything else.
No, I don't. Yeah, that
Okay.
was the one point that I had for that. So yeah.
No, you're good. Absolutely not. But we flash back to present day. A- Joe is arriving at their house where she's greeted by Meg, Hannah, and Marmee. And I believe Meg's two little children,
Yes. Yeah.
whose names are let me see if I can remember. It's like Demi and
I don't know.
what is it?
I don't know.
Demi and what's oh man. Well, I don't know, but her two kids. Oh, Daisy and Demi. Yes, those are the kids' names. They're in it for like 5 seconds maybe. But they're talking about how sick Beth is, and that is when we flash back to the past. Do you have anything to say about that, or can we move on?
Well, we get her in well, she opened the mailbox when it cut back. She opened the mailbox and of course nothing was in it. But
Yes.
yeah, right before it switched back, like Lori gifted them old keys to the mailbox in a silly gesture, of course. But like
Yeah, that was in the attic scene.
Yeah, in the attic scene.
Yes.
And then it cut it back and she opened the box and of course nothing is in it. So
yes.
yeah. Not really.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yep. Okay. So in the past, Joe and Meg are preparing to go to the theater with John Brooke and Lori. And Amy is upset that they're not taking her with. So while they're at the theater, she goes up to Joe's room and decides to burn her manuscript. When they come back, Joe is gonna go write something down, trying to find the manuscript. She can't find it. And so she comes down and asks if anyone's seen it. And she knows that Amy has it. And Amy tells her that she burned it. And Joe says she will never forgive Amy ever. Because Joe is all or nothing kind of gal. I think it's the next morning or a couple days later. Lori shows up at breakfast and takes Joe skating. Amy comes down and Joe just absolutely blows her off. And Amy asks if it's gonna always be like this. Meg says that she should chase after her, and once she's in good spirits with Lori, apologize, and she should forgive her. So she chases after them, but Joe is ignoring her, and Lori, I don't think, hears her. So they go on a skate. Lori warns her to stay on the outside of the pond because the middle is not completely frozen yet. Amy did not hear this news, and so she puts on her skates and skates after them, going over the middle and crashes through the ice. Joe hears Amy's cry for help, and they both skate after it. They grab a branch and pull Amy to safety, and Amy does not die. But then Marmee and Joe have a heart-to-heart talk about how they're both angry people by nature, and that Marmee's learned how to control it, and Joe has to as well. And then we cut back to the present day with sick Beth. So do you want to talk about these scenes real quick?
So I have another behind the scenes fact here. So about a Ronan and Pugh, so the actresses would wrestle to capture the physical as well as the emotional intensity of their given scenes, allowing the hostility shared between their sibling characters to appear both honest and real. This sort of behavior wouldn't seem uncommon for young siblings, and that added to the sincerity of their sister dynamic in these moments. And I think that was very real in these scenes here, because if somebody does something to your stuff,
you're mad.
Yeah. So I thought that was it was like a real scene. If I was I guess Amy, as a child, I feel like I would do that. So
burn your brother's manuscript or sister's manuscript?
Well, I don't know. It would more like Legos, to be honest. Not
you just
burn
go
Legos,
in and destroy their $200 Lego set.
Yeah.
Yeah, valid. I mean, not valid.
But I think I would be the other side of it. I think I would be the one who would get mad at them. So
You're the one who would have their
I would
Lego
be
thing and be
Joe.
broken.
Yeah, I would be Joe. So because
All right.
I had that circumstance many times.
Yeah.
So
But to be perfectly honest, not that I'm saying Amy's right in what she did, but
yeah,
Joe was kind of being a jerk to Amy
she
when
was
they were
kind of a
getting
little
ready.
bit. Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
she was.
bro, like Joe, just chillax, sister. Like, calm
Yeah.
down there, please. But so
Oh,
understandable
one
reaction.
part before they leave, like Amy was talking about like I'm bored and stuff like that, and Beth said, "I can teach you chords," like talking about the piano.
Yes, and she's like, I don't want to learn how to play piano.
Yeah, that was
I
funny.
thought Beth is so pure.
Yes, she
That
is.
she's not. She doesn't have like a lot to do just because of the
Yes.
type of character she is. But I think the actor Eliza Scanlon does a really good job with it. And I was curious while you were talking about this. I was looking at the ages of the actors. And what's funny is like Emma Watson was born in 1990, so during this movie she was 29 or 28, I
Yeah.
guess, during filming. Uh, Saoirse Ronan was born in 94, so she was, what would that be, 25 during
Yeah.
uh filming, and then Florence Pugh would have been 23, and then uh Eliza Scanlon would have been like 20. So like they're all the correct like so Emma
Yeah.
Watson is the oldest, and then Ronan, then Pugh, then Scanlon. So I just thought that was kind of funny. And then
Yeah.
Timothée Chalamet is a year older, year younger than Ronan, and a year older than Pugh. But anyway, so I just think it's funny, like they don't look they don't look like Emma Watson looks younger than Joe, in my opinion, in the movie.
Yeah.
But like the actors themselves, like were born like siblings would have been, like
Yeah.
could have been, I guess. Anyway, sorry, just a little rabbit trail, I suppose. But I kind of like looking at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this scene is very real, like and even like the scene after, like with them at breakfast and stuff like that. Like Amy comes down and sits, Joe moves like to
Yes.
the center of the table.
I will not tell you how many times I've done that. I've been upset at my siblings, and I'm just like, I just can't stand to be at the same table with you. It'll blow over,
Yeah.
but I just can't. I can't do it right now. So I
And
just
that's one of the things about this movie. It's like that sibling, the very real sibling dynamic,
yeah
and forgiving other, like just the forgiveness aspect and
yeah.
apology and all
Well,
that, and just
that's the great thing about this
messing up.
story, right?
So yeah.
Just the story in general is very real, and like that's what later on in the movie when Joe is talking about writing about their story, she's like, I don't think anyone's gonna read it, and then Meg is like,
Yeah.
or it's not important
Beth.
to people, and Amy says,
Or Amy. Oh,
well,
yeah.
maybe it's not important because nobody writes about it yet, and maybe once you start writing about it, people will begin to write it. Like it's a very
Yeah.
simple story, it's a very human story, it's a very real story, and that's what makes it so great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion. In my opinion, it is law because this is my podcast, or our podcast, I guess. But I'm part of this podcast, and so my opinion is why you're listening to the podcast.
Copyright.
Copyright Andrew Augustine 2023. And all of Wesley's opinions are copyright Wesley Spillman 2023.
Yes.
But anyway, moving forward, Joe is sitting by Beth's bed, present day, by the way. And Beth wakes up and Joe's right there. Joe tells her that she's going to take her to the ocean to get better.
And Amy in Europe. Amy is in
Europe and not coming back because they're not telling her, because Beth doesn't want her to cut her trip short. And then we cut to the past. And Meg is invited to a ball by herself, or so she thinks, I suppose. And she gets there and is caught up in all the vanity of it, right? Like the ladies there are calling her a different name, and they like make her wear a different dress because she can't wear her old dress. And Lori shows up at the party because I think, was he like already going, or did Joe like go with her and make sure she doesn't get in trouble?
No, it was like a surprise. He says that. So
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
And she doesn't know. She doesn't. Yeah, Joe doesn't know. Joe didn't know, I think.
But at the beginning, like they're like at the beginning of the flashback, they're like running together, and Joe's like, "You're gonna take the carriage behind her," and make sure she doesn't get in any trouble or
Oh,
something. At least that's
yeah.
what I thought. I thought
Okay.
maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I don't know because like they have that one scene where it's like where Meg is like, don't tell Joe about this, Like I don't know. I think you're right though. I think you're
Well,
right.
okay,
So
just a minute. I'm rewatching it. No, right here. Yeah, it says you take the other carriage and spy on her, Lori, and make sure she doesn't fall in love.
okay. Okay.
So Lori was going. Joe knows about it, but I think what Amy or Meg was referring to is like, don't tell her that I was like all judged up, and because she'll like never, she won't like it, I guess. But anyway, with the help of Lori, she recognizes that it's not okay and that she's being silly, and they like dance together and have a good old grand time at the ball. In the book and radio drama, this is a lot more of a spectacle. And Beth goes over to the Lawrence household and plays the piano. Mr. Lawrence sneaks down the stairs and just sits and listens because he knows that if he goes in, she'll run away and not play because she's like what's the word? She's not a fan of attention, I suppose.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie, to
Really?
be honest. Yeah.
Is when
it
he
is.
comes down and listens to the piano. Just that little.
Yeah.
Hey, why?
Well, I'm an introvert and like just that even that scene between her and Mr. Lawrence before a Meg left, that sincerity behind that scene, and then like interaction, and then like her just coming over and then like I just love how she like walks in. Of course, it cuts back and forth,
Yeah.
like in the scene with Meg, and then this. So it's like her coming in, cuts back, and then her sitting down, cuts back. So, but I don't know. I love that one shot where he's just sitting on the stairs and
And you
it's
can see her playing.
overlooking. Yeah, and
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
It's really
And
good.
honestly, I don't want to say it, but she is my favorite character. So
Beth?
yeah, Beth is my favorite character. Yeah.
Dang. Okay, Ben. Okay. Hey, to each his own, I suppose. To each his own. But we jump to the well, yeah, that's the end of the past scenes and that one present scene of sick Beth and Joe. Thoughts?
Yes.
Sorry, that was very aggressive.
So it's okay.
Tell me your thoughts.
Oh, we also hear so at the beginning with Joe and Beth, we also hear that from Joe that Laurie is not responding to any of Joe's letters, and in that Joe misses Laurie, and we don't know the outcome yet because we don't know that until later in the movie. But yeah, since Laurie is right now in France, but in the present, and then we of course cut to the past and the scene with Meg leaving, scene with all of them together, and like I said, I like the interaction between Beth and Mr. Lawrence, and then oh yeah, they were playing ninja. Joe and Laurie were playing like ninja or something.
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm and that's one thing I love about this movie. I've said it before, like just like how real it really like it is,
Yeah. Yeah, but then we see like Meg, and we see kind of her plot take place here. Her story take place, where she's wanting to be kind of a just, I don't know, fancy girl, and then
yes.
but she realizes that yeah, and I feel like she was realizing it casually, like she didn't want to say it. She didn't want it because you can see the facial acting from is this Emma Watson or not Emma Watson? Yes, Emma Watson.
Are you talking about Meg? Yeah. Meg is
Yeah,
Emma Watson.
Meg. So the facial, you could really see it. I don't know. This is you could like really see it here in the face, her face, like her reactions to stuff here in this scene.
Yes.
Whether to Lawrence or just she doesn't want to admit it, but like she's seeing it and stuff. So yeah. And then I already said I love that scene with with Beth playing on the piano, just very, very sweet.
Yes,
So yeah. That's all.
yes, I agree. Sorry, I thought you had more. But, um, but yeah, I think I agree. I like the scene where Mr. Lawrence just comes down and sits and listens. I think it's very sweet and without being like really having an interaction with Beth, but it's just like he misses the piano being played, and so like
Yeah.
he just wants to sit
And
and
I
listen.
think it what makes it even more like sweet because like his daughter or whatever, like she played it back then, and like he was longing for that, and like of course, like I think it gets revealed later in the movie. Yeah, it does, I think, but we don't know that
Yes.
yet. I don't think so. Yeah,
No, I agree. Yeah. Um, but yeah, present day, Meg comes clean about the expensive silk that she bought
yeah,
to her husband, and she says that she's just sick of being poor, and John takes it the wrong way and thinks that she's regretting marrying him, and so he's kind of hurt by that. We go to France where Amy is painting and Lori comes and apologizes. He asks her not to be mad. They have a conversation while he asks her to paint him because she's giving up paint to marry Fred. Ugh, Fred. Gosh dang it, Fred.
I don't know. I don't know about Fred. I didn't really hate him.
No,
I
I
don't
mean
know.
you don't really. I don't think he says anything. He may at like the
He
flashback
did.
when they first
I
meet,
think he did. But well, yeah, he did. Yeah, that.
but
Yeah,
he doesn't say
here,
much,
here,
and he
and
doesn't do
just
anything wrong. That's the thing. But you still
yeah,
hate
he
him
doesn't.
because it's like stupid Fred. Like, why are you?
I don't know. I would at first when I first saw the movie, I'd rather had him maybe marry her. Marry. Well, I'm not spoiling yet, but like her marry him. But yeah. Well,
Really,
yeah.
really.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
like Fred. I mean, I guess when I first watched it, I knew the story. Did you know the
Well,
story
yeah.
before? You knew the story, right?
Well, yeah, I did. Like my mom, of course, like read me the book when I was younger. So like,
Yeah.
you know, a young mind, you forget things you don't
No,
like.
you definitely do. Yeah.
I didn't read it. I didn't read it myself, but my mom, like, you know, like
Yeah.
so. Or
Yeah.
I did maybe. I don't remember
Hey,
reading it
you know
myself.
what?
So
It's valid. This story is still good. But yeah, she and she mentions I think the conversation is about well no, I don't think I know. The conversation is about how like marriage is like back then was kind of like a
economic.
transaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you married so you'd be taken care of. And so you like marry, but he's like, don't marry Fred. You don't want to marry Fred. And she's like, no, I won't marry Fred. And yeah, then she runs out and she says sees Fred and she goes off with him. But then we flash to the past to the first time where the girls met Fred Vaughn. And
Yes.
uh
The famous shot in the trailers where
yes, the beach scene.
yes.
And I thought I was like, this is our second beach scene, second only to the beach scene from Top Gun, Maverick. Are they similar?
Are
Not at
they?
all. Not really. In
Oh.
Top Gun Maverick, there are sweaty guys playing football and a girl. Excuse me. And in this
Yes, there
one, they're
is. Yeah.
they're fully clothed.
Oh yeah.
No shirtless scenes here. I mean, this was about
Yeah,
200 years
this is
prior.
this is pretty yeah, this is pretty long ago.
Yes, but I literally have typed beach scene, beach scene from Top Gun question mark. Anyway, but yes, this is where they meet Fred Vaughn for the first time. Um, and Lori tells Joe that John Brooke has Meg's glove, and Joe gets very
Yes.
upset at him, and she beats him up. Um, and I think Timothy Chalamet in this scene really does shine when like he like scampers out of the water. I just thought I laughed at that. Like that was like one part of this movie that I laughed out loud at. I don't know. I just thought it was so funny because he like flails and because he like grabs Joe's sides and he like falls in the like not falls
Yeah,
in the water
yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
steps in the water and he like steps out and like walks the opposite way. I just thought it was funny. Anyway, and then we go flash to the present where Beth and Joe are having conversations on the beach
I love this scene.
about
I love
writing, I think, right? Is it
yeah.
about writing? Because this is not the part where she tells her to write about them.
A
And because
Joe
that's the
is
second one.
yeah. She said like she doesn't have any new stories and stuff like that, and Beth is encouraging her to write like something new.
Yes.
And yeah,
But
and
she doesn't tell her to write for her even because there are two scenes where they're laying on the beach.
yeah, but here it says like one of the quotes I said, what I like, it says, "Do what Marmy taught us to do it for someone else," and that's like
Yes.
something, yeah. So
Yeah.
so
But
another
yeah.
theme in the movie. Yeah. So oh, so the paint shop scene. This is something I wanted to talk about here. So Laurie, he's like really interesting because like he has all these different relationships with the girl here with, well, except like Beth, but kind of with not really, we don't really get like a scene with him alone with a Beth, but we get one with all three of them, with Meg, with Joe, and then now here Amy.
Yep.
But it's just interesting how the chemistry between all of the three different, like, I don't know, it's just interesting how like they interact to each other, the characters and stuff. And yeah, at first you're like, I don't know, I don't really like this, but like then you're like, okay, you see, like he, like you were talking about earlier, like he's a part of the family, and it's like kind of like that, to be honest. And I like that point because like he's kind of like the brother to them that they
Yep.
didn't have. So
Which
yeah.
is how Joe sees him
Yeah.
until later. But
Well, yeah. Yeah, um so yeah, and then you get the kind of like the climate they're in, the and who can't speak, economic proposition and all that, with the marriage back then. And then the beach scene. And we also see, we didn't mention it earlier, but Amy, what not yes, Amy. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. Amy was drawing there. That we saw some shots of like someone flying a kite. I think it was Meg.
yes.
Maybe it was Beth. Yeah,
No,
I think
Meg
it was
was flying
Meg.
a kite. Yeah.
Meg was flying a kite, and then Amy was drawing, and we don't know what she's drawing yet, but we will. And then Joe and Laurie were we were already talking about earlier, in the water and stuff like that. So yeah, and then we see everybody running across the beach, and then we hear a voiceover of Joe reading, and then we cut to the present. So yeah.
Yes. And they're talking. Do you have anything about the talking? You've already mentioned the talking.
Yes,
Right? Yeah.
yes. So yeah, I man, I love this when they're on the beach. This is probably I don't even want to say that, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yes.
So but yeah, I just love the dynamic here with a Joe and Beth, and how Beth pushes Joe to a different level that nobody else has had. Like,
Yes.
you know how the German man, whoever Friedrich, did with, of course, I don't think I should compare that because that was in a different way.
Yeah, it's
that was in a
different.
different way. Yeah, that's different. But it's just how she was encouraging her to do it for somebody else, doing it for somebody else, not herself. Don't do it for herself, do it for
Yes.
somebody else. Right? Because to do it for others, not herself. So yeah.
Yep. So in the past, we go back to the past. Marmy,
Yeah.
it gets a letter about father who's sick in
Yeah.
the war, and I think is this where we first hear that he's a chaplain? Because before it's just like he's off fighting.
I don't know. I don't think I was listening to the.
Okay. No.
Was that in the scene with a? Well, we cut to her, and then she's like at the train station, and she gives something, like gives a gift to the old man.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
And I think it was mentioned in there.
No, that's the scene we're
So,
talking about right now. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then she
I
goes
was
home.
writing stuff, so
Yeah. No, you're it's fine. You're good. She goes home, and everyone's like rushing to get stuff around, ready to leave so she can go be with him and make sure he's okay. Joe shows up, and she has $25, and Marmy asks, like, Aunt March isn't usually that generous, but we find out that Joe sold her hair instead of going to ask Aunt March for help. We flash to the present, and Amy and Laurie are sitting together in France, and Laurie more or less asked Amy to marry him. Amy says no because she doesn't want to be the consolation prize for Lori, because he can't have Joe. And then in the past again, Beth goes to check on the Hummel family while Marmee is with father, because before Marmee left, she said, make sure we don't forget to check up on the Hummel kids. And so she goes by herself. She comes back, and Mr. Lawrence has given her a piano. Is it the piano that she plays, or is it just a piano?
I think it's a piano. I
Yeah,
don't
okay,
think
that's
it's
what I
the
thought.
piano. It's not
Because the
the
piano she's
piano.
playing is ginormous, and this one's
Yeah,
kind of tiny.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
And she goes to thank Mr. Lawrence, and he tells her that she's feeling very hot, and we find out that she has the scarlet fever, which she got from the Hummel baby, who is now dead. They also say that they've all had it except Amy, and they send her away to live with Aunt March, even though she does not want to. And this is where Aunt March grows in fondness for Amy.
Yes.
Yes. And so then we go back on the beach in the present day. Beth and Joe Joe's reading to Beth again, and Beth tells her to keep writing them even when she leaves.
Yes.
And Beth and Joe have a nice conversation about death, and how like Joe is going to do everything in her power to keep Beth from dying, but Beth just wants her to like move on. Basically, she's like, I'm already resigned to the fact that I'm going to die. But yeah, that's all about. Yeah. So back and forth between the present twice and past. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and one thing, way back, after the first beach scene, where we cut to the present with Joe and Beth, where Marmee went off to help the father because he was sick or something, you know.
Yes.
So so John, the tutor, was escorting her, and then like we kind of see the relationship between him and Meg develop there. And then oh wait, and then like we also like get a Joe cutting her hair too.
Yeah, I mentioned
for
that.
money, for yeah.
Yeah.
For money. So, and then we cut to the present with Amy and Lori, and the picture she was drawing on the beach back then, on the beach, Amy was of Lori, and then of course she drew a picture there, of course. That's crazy. Of course,
Yes.
the actor didn't do that, or maybe she did. I don't know. Probably not.
Maybe.
Maybe Florence Pugh. Do you draw? Like, I don't know. But yeah. And then one thing you could hate about Fred, I guess, was like he was on business in London. He wasn't really spending time with with Amy, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's kind of
So,
he seems like a kind
I
of
don't
like
know.
a doofus.
I don't know. I guess not to point out like your least favorite character, as we will, but in the end of the podcast. But yeah, so
Yep, that's it. Thank you for listening to the Movie Minute Podcast.
okay, guys, bye.
This is going to be a two-parter.
But yeah, I really like the reaction she has, and we see her acting here. Florence Pugh acting really in display here. Really love that reaction. And then we get right after that scene where she leaves the garden and she's like, no. And then we get it cut to the past, and like she's like, Amy's making a mold of Lori or something, like
She's
for
making
Lori.
a mold of her foot, so
yeah, her
Lori
foot.
will remember her.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
So yeah. Yeah, and then and then Mr. Lawrence again. That scene with Mr. Lawrence and Beth, insert crying emoji there. We hear
which crying emoji, like the smile with the tear, or like just the sobbing one?
Sobbing one.
That's the question. Okay.
But yeah, we hear that Mr. Lawrence this is where I didn't write it down. Oh yeah, he tells her that she reminds him of his girl that he had.
Yes, correct.
So yeah. That's all. I don't know. I feel like I went on for a minute there. So
no, that's okay. So did I when we were running through it. But yeah, I like, probably my favorite out of all these is the uh Amy and Lori scenes. I don't know. I just think
Yeah,
they're just, man, they've got really nice chemistry and really good chemistry.
that is
Florence
true.
Pugh
Yeah.
and Timothy Chalamet. I was blanking on his name for a moment, but I just think I think it's really good. But in the past, we have Joe tending to a very sick Beth, and oh man, I lost my spot.
Oh wait, yeah. Oh yeah, the present. They cut back to the present, the Beth on the beach and stuff like that. The
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
quote
yeah.
I was gonna point out, I didn't see that. Sorry. The one quote I was gonna point out there. Oh man, really good quote. It's like the tide going out slowly, but it can't be stopped. Like she was talking about death,
Yes.
and that was very solemn. Of course, there's a couple moments of silence there on the beach, and I really like that scene how they were talking about death there.
No, yeah,
And
I do.
yeah,
I did.
so yeah,
Yeah, I do like that one.
so
Um,
yeah.
just
Anyways,
not my favorite, but and then in the past, Joe is tending to
yeah,
Beth,
Beth.
and there's not much there. I think it's just like,
What Joe's will be done or something like that. She
yeah,
says.
yeah.
I don't even
I'm
know.
not a huge fan of that quote, to be perfectly honest, but it's okay. It's okay. At least we know where Beth's going. She's got a strong faith. Anyway, then Amy's painting at Aunt March's house, and Aunt March sits her down and tells her that she has to marry well for her family because
Yes.
Meg is gonna marry John. Joe's a lost cause, and Beth's never gonna get married. So she's like, you have to marry well for the family. And yeah. Then we go to the present where Amy
Yes.
walks in, or no, yeah, Amy
Yes, it is the
walks in.
present. Yes.
Yes, Amy walks in, and Aunt March says that the Lawrence boy was just there talking to her, and she asks what for, and what did he want, and Aunt March says that he's going back to America, and or to England, one of the two.
Yeah.
We go back to his grandfather, and she asks why Amy's so interested in Lori, and she says that she just said no to a wedding proposal from Fred because of him. And Aunt March is none too happy about that.
Yeah.
And then we go back to America where Beth is sick and Meg is sitting on her bedside. Joe comes in, looks out the window, sees John there waiting for her. Meg goes down, says that she'll be heading back home soon to take care of the kids. And John said, don't worry about it. Be with Beth. And also
Yeah.
send your dress to the send the fabric to the dressmaker. You need to look nice, he says. And she says that she can't because she already sold it back to Sally, her friend, who was the one who talked her into buying the silk in the first place. And that all she needs to be happy is John, and John needs a new coat. So they use that money for that. And Beth gets worse. She like seizes on the bed or something, which is
Yes.
not a pleasant scene to stare
Yeah.
at. It was rough.
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so we get that scene with Aunt March being Aunt March, I guess.
Aunt March is a butthole, man. I'm
Yeah,
sorry for
man.
the crass language, guys. We're gonna get the explicit label, but come on.
Man. Oh my.
And Meryl Streep
She's
does such a good job. Sorry.
I feel like she's trying to be manipulative, but like all the girls are like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like Aunt March could make your life so much easier if you just listen to her.
Yeah,
But
but
also kudos to you for not caving to her.
yeah. But yeah, that was kind of, that's one thing to point. But yeah, we get the Meg and John scene again, their relationship as a married couple, and I the one shot where right before Beth has the coughing fit, we see like Joe is like kind of admiring like her relationship with John from a distance. And then we also see I don't know, like we see, oh yeah, Marmee, we see like the Marby coming back home, and then like taking care of a
Well, not quite
Beth
yet.
and like.
That's the next
Oh,
scene
we didn't. Okay, okay,
that we haven't
okay. Sorry, I thought
touched
you already said
on
that.
yet.
Okay, yeah, okay,
Yeah, but
okay.
of Beth's illness, and then she shows up, and she starts immediately helping Beth, and then Joe's like laying in bed with Beth, and then walks downstairs because Beth's no longer in the bed, runs downstairs and sees her at the table with Marmee and Hannah. A great reveal shot where Marmee just turns around and Beth's just sitting there all better. And it's proof that mother can make anything better, right? Moms can make anything better. And then we
Facts.
get another happy Christmas scene where everyone's talking and chatting. And again, I love these kind of scenes. And Timothy Chalamet, no, not Timothy Chalamet. Well, yes, Timothy Chalamet,
Well,
but
yes, yes.
Lori comes in and says, another Christmas present for the March family, and it's father, Bob Odenkirk. Woo! He comes
Yeah,
back.
let's go, guys.
And he's very proud of all his little women, as he says. We get a name drop, and everyone's
Underrated
happy.
character, yeah. No, I wouldn't say that. Well, kinda, but I don't know.
No,
I
not
wouldn't
really.
I wouldn't put him. No,
He's got too
No.
many lines, man. He's got too many.
No,
lines.
yeah, too many lines.
But yeah, Merry Christmas. Everyone's alive and happy. But then we get
Yep.
to the present. Joe
Mm.
comes downstairs, and we see. Well, she was laying in bed with Beth again. She comes downstairs because Beth's no longer in the bed. She sees Marmee sitting at the table, same shot, but this time she's alone, and Beth is dead. She did not make it this time. The funeral takes place without Amy because she's still in France. Meg, John, Mama, Father, and Marmee and Joe are all there, and Meg and John walk away. Then Father and Marmee leaving Joe by herself to deal with everything that goes on there, and that's where we'll stop.
Yeah, contrast there with her coming
Yes,
downstairs that's a pretty cool aspect.
I
I
love
thought
that.
it was gonna be. I thought it was when I was watching it here for the third time. I thought it was gonna be the same, but it was kind of not really. It was not really the same. But I thought it was gonna be like the same shots. But the first time it was kind of more like fast cuts. Like it was like intent. Like you think it's gonna be like,
oh crap,
she's not gonna. Yeah, is she dead? Is she dead? But yeah, of course, the second time, more sad.
Yes.
But yeah, we get that scene with the Christmas party and stuff like that. That's pretty nice. With father actually coming back home and he's not dead. Sometimes
Nope.
they do that in movies. Sometimes they do that. They're like
They sometimes do, but
Wait.
instead of the father who's lived his life, we get like the 19-year-old daughter die
yeah.
who hasn't lived her life. Well, apparently she has because sorry.
But and this is another aspect of the film, like after this, like this is kind of like another driving force for Joe to write the book too.
Yes.
Like in her honor, in Beth's honor. So and
Yeah.
I really like that aspect of the film as well. So yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah, you summed it up everything, man. I'm not gonna keep harping on all the group scenes because I think I've said enough. But that scene where the dad comes home and Marmee just goes, "Now I can be angry at you in person." I just think that's just so funny. It's like that's like not all marriages are like that, but there are a lot of them where it's like, "I've missed you so much." Like, like obviously there's love there because they're still,
yeah.
but like I just think it's not stereotypical, I guess, but like I don't know, I just think it's funny and very real. Like I said, I love movies that feel real. Like I don't know, there's just something simple about it. But yeah, then we flash to the past. Meg's wedding is taking place. They're getting ready to get married to John Brooke. She's getting ready to marry John Brooke. Joe's not happy because she wants everything to stay the same way. I feel like we've all felt that at one point in our life or another, where we're just like, I hate change. I don't want it to change.
Talking to a senior here in high school.
Yeah. Joe says she can run away with Meg and that she can work to support Meg, and Meg needs to be an actress. And Meg says, my plans are still my plans, even if they're not the same as yours. I still want this. So they have the wedding. Everything's beautiful. Everyone's there. And after this, Lori tells Joe his feelings for her, and she says they can't be that way. And that's a very intense scene, actually.
Yes, it is.
It's so good.
This is where right before that I stopped watching the movie.
Oh, so Wesley has no more notes after this, guys.
Yes, yeah, I have no more notes. So this will be on the fly, guys. The rest
So
of the movie will be on the fly.
Let's stop here. Talk about it, Wesley. What
Yeah,
do you think about
I'll
this?
talk about it. So yeah, we see Laurie telling. It's so interesting because this is actually pretty interesting because like I like how they do it like here because like we already see like in the present we see like all the stuff with Amy, and then we see here
and
with Joe.
Yeah, and we hear like when he proposes to Amy, she goes, "Well, I'm very sorry for you. I really am. Like, I'm sorry you can't have Joe." But like, so like we already know how this is gonna end.
Yeah,
but we don't know how we get there. So
yes, we don't.
That's pretty interesting.
And it's really interesting how it, of course, takes place on Meg's wedding day too.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's when a lot of people, like you go to a wedding, there's love, there's romance. People are gonna live forever, like live together forever, or they should. And that's when like you're already feeling feelings, and so they just are usually heightened. Anyway.
But yeah, I don't really. I'm winging it here. So
okay,
how about you? Yeah.
Valid. All right, so we get to the present. Marmee and Joe are having a discussion while Joe is packing up, I believe, Beth's things. It would make sense if it was Beth's things. Joe's hoping that Laurie will, like, Marmee says that Laurie is coming back with Amy.
Oh, yeah.
She says, "Oh, that's great." She's like, "Maybe I said no to him too hastily." And so she's like hoping that he'll ask her to marry her again. He'll ask her to marry him again, and then she'll say yes. We go to France again. Amy's waiting for the ride to the, I don't know, like boat, I guess. I don't know how they get overseas. Was it a boat? It was Civil War, probably a boat. Anyway, I'm not a historian. I don't know. I've been out of school too long.
The Titanic, of course.
Titanic. And this is when the movie turns into the movie Titanic, and Laurie turns into Leonardo DiCaprio, and Amy turns into Kate Winslet, and anyway, no, just a joke. Which I've never seen that movie, by the way.
I haven't either.
Well, okay, so then there you go.
I've talked about it in my film class, though. We've talked about it in the film class, so
there you go. You didn't have to watch it for that.
No, well, we just off mention. There's movies that you mention and all that.
Yes.
So.
And Titanic would make sense to be one of those movies.
Yeah.
But Amy is waiting for a ride, and Laurie shows up, and he tells her that he's going to be traveling with her. They embrace, and I believe they kiss because they talk about their feelings. You haven't even seen it. Okay, so I'm gonna say they kiss.
Well, I have. So I can't.
Yes, you've seen it, but you haven't seen this part.
Yes.
I mean, recently.
It's been February was the last time I watched it, like fully through.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, they definitely kiss. I remember.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think you're right.
Yes. Joe writes a letter for Laurie and confesses her feelings for him and leaves it in the secret mailbox. I believe this is where we get the second shot. They did it again with Frederick Bear, of like where someone writes a letter and then the actor like speaks it to the camera, which I think is just such a cool idea. And I think
that is cool.
I wish they did it more, because they write more letters and like they get more letters. And I wish they would have done it with all the letters. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, because there's a lot of scenes with that. Because like remember that one scene with where Meg and Joe were reading the letters from John. Well, it was John.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, they could have done
or
that.
Like when like at the very beginning of the movie where Marmee writes the letter to Joe telling her to come because Beth's sick, and there are a couple more letters, and I just wish they would have done it more. But they do monologues. No, I guess that's reading. Never mind.
Yeah.
But then we cut to Joe daydreaming of her first day in New York, and Laurie wakes her up, and they hug. They talk a little bit, and Joe's waiting for him to confess like that he loves her, I guess, or something like that. And then he slips up by calling Amy his wife, and Joe's shocked. They got married in France, and then she quickly removes the letter from the mailbox, tears it up with like a flashback of their times together, and throws it into the river, kind of like, "You're gonna stay my friend forever," and nothing more. She heads back to the house, and she runs into Mr. Lawrence, who says the house just isn't right without Beth. And
oh my gosh, this scene too.
That is, I'm telling you, Mr. Lawrence is kind of the MVP of not MVP, but underrated character. Like not for the t-shirt, not for the t-shirt, because he has too many lines. I feel like he's too much of a. He does too much in the movie. He helps move the plot along.
Like it's like Edna in the last movie, and in Incredibles.
Like she's a really good character, and not in many scenes, but she's not an underrated character because she does get her.
Yeah.
She is in.
But
too many scenes.
Anyways, but yes.
And they head into the house. Joe wakes up at like in the evening, and she decides to burn all her writings because they're not good, I guess.
Yeah.
According to her. Except for a little red book, and she opens it up, and we see the large words that say, I believe it says for Beth, but it might say my Beth, like a title of a book or something. But I believe it's for Beth because she tells her to keep on writing for her.
Yeah,
I believe is what that is, but maybe.
I wish I knew.
Let me look here. I'm rewatching the movie a little bit. It says.
While you do,
it says for Beth. Sorry.
Okay, I have a behind the scenes fact here.
Yes, go ahead.
About the Redbound. So both Ronan and Gerwig kept a copy of the Redbound Little Women book from the closing scene of the film. I should have said this at the scene.
So cool. No, it's okay.
But yeah, so kept a copy. Both of them kept a copy from the scene of the film as memorabilia. The book can be seen as a perfect representation of the film's overall message as it signifies Joe's. Well, I'll say that later.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're good. And yeah, so she begins writing, and we get a montage of her writing. We don't know how, I don't know how long it was.
Yes. I really like that too, because I've always, I don't know, the last year or so, I don't have time right now, but I kind of do want to write a book or something sometime. I don't know, fiction, not probably fiction, but just a series, not a series, but at least one book of I don't know. And I want to write an autobiography too. So I've been just interested in filming. I'm not filming. Well, yes, but writing. Yeah. So I really love that scene. So
yeah. Also, before she goes to bed and she wakes up, she goes downstairs to the family where they're all gathered around. And Amy turns around and she says, Lori told you? And Joe goes, yes. And she's like, and then she says, congratulations or whatever. And she goes, oh, you're not mad? And she's like, no, life's too short to be mad at your sisters.
Yeah.
I think that's a good message.
Yeah.
I think
that is a very good message.
Not even just life too short to be mad at your sisters, life too short to be mad, period. Get over yourself, I guess, in a way, because that's kind of what Joe's arc is, right? She gets so angry all the time and feisty, she thinks she ruined friendships with Bear, and Lori, she ruined a chance to be with him forever, and well, obviously it wasn't meant to be, but she gets angry and she gets mad at Amy, and it could have been the last thing she said to her if she had died in the ice or whatever. So I don't know. I just think that's really cool. And then Amy goes, thank you. When they're hugging, she just goes, thank you. I just think that's I think it's a sweet scene. But yeah, she writes a letter to Mr. Dashwood. We get her talking again as she's speaking the letter to the camera. The editor of the publishing house, she was talking to at the beginning. We see Aunt March has died and left her house to Joe. And Joe decides to turn it into a school because that will make Aunt March roll in her grave. She also tells Meg and Amy about her story that is about the Little Women. Mr. Dashwood writes her back and tells her that the story is not promising, but he would like to read more of her other stuff. That's not Little Women. But yeah, and then Joe is called downstairs, and Professor Bear is there. And then we flash back to the past again, and the dream that she was having when Lori shows up is what we get now. But now we get the full scene where she first meets Professor Bear, and then it flashes quickly back to the present, where the family is very interested in who Professor Bear is and how they know him, and Lori especially. I think that's so funny where he's like,
yeah,
so, who are you? Is anyone going to tell me who this guy is?
Yeah. Who's my competition? Not
Yeah,
anymore
it's
though.
like,
Not
well,
anymore
I mean,
though.
he's married, so it better not be a competition. But
Yeah. Yeah. The true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then uh, they have dinner and they're all chatting up a storm. And then Dad asks if Professor Bear is planning on staying in New York. He says that he's actually going to go west to be a professor in California. Um, and since, as he says, nothing's keeping me here, which is a bit sad because he's just like, Joe, how about you ask me to marry you?
Yeah.
But yeah. And after dinner, everyone's reclining in like the living room and everything. And Professor Bear asks if anyone plays the piano. And they say it was Beth. Although Amy, it's interesting. Amy, after she said she didn't want to learn how to play piano, says we all play a little bit. So she did eventually learn how to play
Yeah.
piano.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe she just knows how to chord because Beth taught her.
Yeah.
Um, but
I don't know.
um, but yeah, as he plays the piano and then he begins to leave while he's still playing piano. I think that's really neat how they have like the piano music playing, like him playing piano, and then
Yeah.
he and Joe say goodbye. Well, he says goodbye to everyone, and then he leaves, and then Joe turns around after shutting the door, and everyone's staring at her, being like, "You love him," and she doesn't believe it, and then Amy and Meg get her to go. They fancy her up, and then they tell Lori to get the wagon hitched, and they're gonna go chase after him. I love the line that Lori says. He says, "I never thought I'd be preparing a carriage to help Joe March chase a man, but I like it." I just think that's pretty funny because
Yeah.
yeah, Joe's not the kind to go chasing after a dude. Um, and then as they chase after him, we get a flash back and forth between Mr. Dashwood first at home with his family,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
his daughters
With the
wants to
kid, his
know.
daughters. Yeah.
Yeah, his daughters want to know what happens to the little women, and as Joe's chasing off after this man, and then she gets to the train station, and then we get another flash back and forth between her discussing the book with Dashwood and her going
Yes.
to stop Professor Bear from leaving. And they're going back and forth like she wants money right away, but he can't get her that unless she sells him the copyright, and she wants more than 5% of the profits, and back and forth and forth and back. And he wants the heroine to get married by the end, and she says, but she's been talking about through the whole book that she doesn't want to get married, and yada yada yada. Eventually they settle, the woman will get married, and that's when Professor Bear and her kiss and stay together. And she says that she wants to, she wants him to stay, or that he would be more than willing to stay if it was just for her. And so they kiss in the rain under an umbrella. Very romantic.
Yes.
And we think that's the end, but actually it's not, because we got one last past scene, or what we think is the past. Maybe it's not, maybe it is, but we think it is, because I think it is, at least that's what I mean. Because you notice, like, when the book is getting made, it's blue, right?
Yes.
Like it's the present. But then while the book's getting made, she's thinking about the end of the story. Do you think that's what that is? Like the end of the story is them all together.
It's when the book is made. So it's like in the present. It's not the past.
Well,
like it's not
like what I mean is, like, is the boarding
it's
school, like the opening of the school, is that in the past?
Yeah. I think that's in the present, I think. So
But if the coloring stays true, then it is a memory, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's trippy. I'm not trying to like argue with you. I'm just like trying to figure it out, because I'm not sure either.
Well, the book wasn't done. The book wasn't done at the beginning of the movie. So
So I feel like maybe it's future and present?
she met with him again. So it was a second time.
It was a second time. Yeah. But we'll see.
There was some time. So
I don't know. But we see the boarding school opening. Joe, the headmistress, and her whole family's helping run the school, which I think is really cool. Lori's teaching fencing. Amy's teaching painting. Professor Bear is teaching the music and Meg is teaching acting. Her dad is teaching something or another. And they're all like walking through. I really love this scene. We see that Amy and Laurie also had a baby.
Yes.
And we also see the book being printed. It cuts back and forth between that and that. And at the end, the whole family is surrounding Marmee at the table, celebrating her birthday. We jump back. I think that's what it is because there's a cake. I'm assuming that's what it is.
Or well, yeah, it's well, the father was sitting down also.
The whole family, yeah. I don't know what it is.
Well, they walked up and like
everyone sits down.
Well,
not everyone, but they're all at the table.
Yeah. So,
and then we see the final product of the book, Little Women. We get a flashback to when all four sisters were little girls at a last bit of childhood. Jo holds the book closely to her chest and she gives a smile, and that is Little Women.
Yes.
And that's the end of the movie.
And that was my assignment I did on that little part right there.
The end?
When the book was getting made. That was literally my assignment.
Really?
I focused on one frame. One frame. It's this French term called mise en scene, I think, or something like that. I don't even know. But it's where you have to like a single frame. It's like just like a picture, for example. It's like a picture. I focus on a single frame and you have to point off like all the colors and what's dominant in the picture, what's like not.
Interesting.
Like all the little things within
Sounds fun.
Picture, I guess. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I forgot to mention at the beginning, the title card is literally the book just sitting there, like the same shot. I think it is. And I think that's really cool too. Yeah. But yeah, that's Little Women.
Little Women.
So yeah, let's
favorite scene.
Yes, favorite scene.
So I think it is Beth and Jo at the beach.
Which one?
For me.
Or both of them?
Well, both.
Okay. We'll count it as one scene.
Both. Yeah. Well, it's like one scene. Yeah. But of course it cuts twice. But
yes.
I think, and I just realized now when you were talking, like just summarizing the end there, like the fall for Friedrich, like with him playing the piano and stuff like that, I feel like that, of course, reminded her of Beth.
Yes.
But also, like, it was just like, I didn't really, when I first watched the movies, I was like, I don't know. I don't really like Friedrich that much. But like, second time, I was like, okay, this makes sense. But I think that was kind of a cool contrast, I guess, with him being able to play the piano. But anyways, that scene with them on the beach, I feel like that was very real. And then them talking about death, and the first one with Beth encouraging Jo to write and not to do it for others and not herself. So yeah, for sure. No, that's valid. Please don't hate me, but I think that's one of my least favorite scenes. Like, I'm not gonna hate on it, but it's just I find it really slow. I mean, I understand that's where the heart of the movie is most of the time, but it's just, for me, it's like there's more scenes that I find more enjoyable. Yeah, like you could like say, like, of course, like when they're all together. Like,
that is literally what I said. That is what I said. I said literally any scene that has the family all together. I also enjoy the ending. Like, I was literally sitting there and I had to text my
that's
fiance.
pretty
I was like,
funny. Yeah,
dude, the ending of this movie goes so hard. Like, excuse me, the movie is just, I don't know, like there's something about the ending. I was just sitting there, the music and the feels are all just like, oh my gosh. Excuse me. I love that. But I am gonna say, whenever the family is just all together talking over each other, and I understand that could be like annoying for some people, but for me, it's like it just reminds me of my family, like growing up with family gathering, family Christmas, family dinners. It's just like, that's my family. So it more because I see myself in that more than anything else. But yeah, that's mine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Least favorite scene. Yeah. Okay.
I okay. Just a minute. Let me get mine out of the way. I had none. Like for me, when I think least favorite scene, I'm like a scene that could get pulled out and no one
Yeah,
would miss
pulled
it.
out. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything. Legitimately, I think everything is well paced and everything's just like
This
all together. What do you have one? I'm assuming you do.
uh I would say the scene, I don't know. I feel like that's not a good example. I was gonna the first thought I had was the one with Laurie and Meg, but I don't know. That's important because with their I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
no.
because Meg realizing that she's not meant for that. So,
Yeah, no. I think that one could be taken out, but also like when growing up and listening to the radio drama, that was always my least favorite part. But like in the movie, I don't think it slows it down at all. And I think it's necessary because you see the growth of every sister,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and I think that's necessary to like for
That's
Meg's
very necessary.
storyline.
Yes. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. I don't know. This category is always hard for some reason. Like the first few movies we watched, like it seemed like it was very easy to pick out like a scene. Like we're just now we're just like picking good movies. We need to pick a bad movie or something.
We do need to
Just
get a
pick
bad movie.
we just need to pick a bad movie and like
We just need it. Yeah, pull the bandage off. Be like, okay,
yeah.
okay, it's time. Yeah. So, favorite character?
Yes.
You already said yours. You spoiled it.
Yeah, I spoiled it. It's Beth. So like I just tend to relate to Beth the most, I guess. Like she's quiet, she loves an instrument, and she's like just set aside from everybody else. I don't know, I'm just an introvert too, so like
Yeah. No.
I just find her part of course it is integral for the second part of the movie, but like she's like the one that's in the background like encouraging everybody. So
Yep.
yeah.
Aren't you also the fourth oldest?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm the fourth. Yeah, I'm the fourth.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for me, I was gonna go with Joe or Lori. I really like both of them. I think both actors do a very phenomenal job. But for me, I'm actually gonna say Marmee.
Okay, yeah.
I think
yeah.
every time she came on, I was like, "Oh, yay!" Like she was always. I think she's funny without being like too out of sorts. Like just some of the things she says is humorous, and I think personally she is the heart of the film. I really like the scene where her and Joe are just sitting and talking about their anger and how they both like she had to learn how to deal with it, and now Joe has to learn how to deal with it. And I can tend to be an angry human being at times, and so I just think
Same.
I think Marmee, she's just so sweet too. Like I don't know. So yeah, Marmee is my favorite character.
Yes.
Both of ours are kind of out of left field here. Like you have like Lori and Joe and Amy.
You would
who
think
could all
Lori,
be
like Lori's like Timothy
standout.
Chalamet
Yeah.
it is a standout. Like he
Yes.
was his just acting was really good in this movie, I guess.
Yes. No. Yeah.
Yeah. But
sure.
least favorite character.
I have Aunt March. I mean,
I feel like
she's necessary, but also
is
I don't like the character. So this one's just solely based on the character in the movie.
Yeah, on the character. Yeah. I was gonna say John.
Oh, really? You don't like John Brooke?
I don't know. I feel like not because I didn't like him, but I just wish he had more depth. But like, he was a side character. I don't know.
And also with this movie, you have to like get through all four daughters and Lori's
all four
depth.
and Lori. Yeah, Lori.
So to add John Brooke to have more depth is kind of impossible. Well, I understand what you're saying. And if that's your choice, I will support you. But
I would, I think, of course, Aunt March. Like,
Aunt March is kind of a butthole.
Favorite quote.
Favorite quote. Yes.
I had the one from earlier. I said it was from Beth. I said it. It is. It's there. It's here.
Death about being like a tide, right?
Yes. Yeah. That one.
Yeah. How did that go?
I have it.
You have it written down.
In my notes. I don't. How about? Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
my favorite is I mentioned it already. Here it is. I got yours. It's like the tide going out. It goes out slowly, but it can't be stopped.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I like that quote.
No, I think that one's really good too. But for me, Mine is the one Timothy Chalamet as Laurie. That I never thought I'd be preparing a carriage to help Joe March chase a man, but I like it. I just think that's funny. I also
Yeah.
like the Life's Too Short to Be Angry at One's Sisters. I just think that's
Yes.
pretty good. That one's pretty good too as well. So I have
Definitely. Definitely.
but yeah, I think that's all our categories. So closing thoughts and the star ranking.
Yeah. So yeah, like the final shot, like I was talking about earlier, it just like encapsulates the whole film, and like it showed a sense of completion with the book, and like you also see Joe's journey, and even though she's holding the book, like in the book and in her life, like it was the other girls also had life through that book because she was in it as well.
Mhm.
But well, they were in it as well. But it was overall awesome movie. And I feel like it displayed the time period well too, with all the set design, costumes, the areas they were in.
Mhm.
But Greta Gerwig did an awesome job. The acting, cinematography, and pace were all so good. And even a teenage man can find some truths that can be applied to life through through a
Yes.
movie full of strong women. So,
And
I would
Timothy Chalamet.
say yes, and Timothy Chalamet. My star ranking would I have it as 4.9, but I think I gotta give it as 5.5 out of 5. So
Wow, he was almost going to go 5.5. He's like, this is so good. It's got a 0.5 star ranking.
I think it's a 5 out of 5 for me. So
Hey, that's valid. That's completely valid. I'm not gonna knock it. For me, I really, man, it's such a classic movie. Okay, the story is timeless. Like it was written in the 1800s, and well, let me make 1868. So yeah, and it's still being made into movies 4 years ago. Wow, already 4 years ago, but it's timeless, man. Um, this movie it's different than previous iterations of the book, the story, but it's full of the character and full of the heart that the original story has. Um, eh, there are a few editing guffaws that we talked about at the beginning, or not guffaws, mess ups, quirks, but altogether, this movie is so solid, and I'm gonna give it a 4.8 out of 5 stars. So yeah, guys, that is Little Women.
yes.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate you listening this far. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out our Facebook and our Instagram. That's where you can vote on movies like this one's for the fan choice episodes. That's where you can find out what we're doing next. And yeah, make sure you do that. Make sure you follow Wesley and myself on Instagram. Mine is Andy August 01, and Wesley's yours is
at W Spill. Well, W Spill .30. So
.30.
it's weird. It's weird. I
Hey.
should probably change it.
You know what?
It doesn't make sense.
It's okay.
I think I did the 30 because of Steph Curry. I don't know why. But
Hey, valid. Steph is a legend.
anyways.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys again listening this far already.
Yes.
And again, make sure you follow us wherever you can, wherever you get your podcast, excuse me. And make sure to tune in for our next episode. And I don't think we've decided what exactly we're doing. So again, follow the Facebook and the Instagram.
It'll be a surprise.
So you know what's out there. And maybe if you get a vote. So yeah, until next time, I'm Andrew for Wesley. Thank you so much for listening to the Movie Minutemen podcast. Goodbye.